Good evening and thank you for joining us. We've been following Carrie throughout her boxing travails, and it's been a while since she's fought, but she really delivered there.
Oh, did she ever? What an exciting accomplishment for her. And as we'll learn in the story, we're hoping that there's going to be some more boxers to step up and give her another challenge.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully she'll get that. And Shauna, what are we looking forward to in the weather forecast?
Well, we started out nicely today, but the clouds are starting to build up. So as we now take a look currently across Lloydminster and the Midwest, we're sitting at 21 degrees. And across the Lakeland and Battleford, same sort of scenario. A mix of sun and clouds with 19 and 20 degrees respectively. Will the sun return? I'll have your full forecast coming up later in the program.
Someone set fire to a motorhome early this morning in Lloydminster. RCMP are calling it arson, and they say it's not the first incident they've seen in the past week. As Lexi Dogan reports, it's becoming a scary situation for residents with RVs.
It was 4 in the morning when Bridget Blitz's dogs were barking, but they were the sign that arsonists were in her yard.
And I looked, and there were flames shooting out of the camper about 10 feet in the air, straight in the air, right behind the driver's seat.
Passers-by had called 911 before Blitz even saw her camper in flames. She says officers were on the scene quickly, but she doesn't understand why she was targeted.
I went into the kitchen and I saw in the newspaper that this was the second time this had happened. And I guess there's some kind of arsonist around who has a grudge against campers. I don't understand it.
RCMP are now investigating, and they say it's the third vehicle fire in the past week. Last Wednesday, crews doused another motorhome fully engulfed in flames.
In the last 6 days, the RCMP have been called to 3 fires that are suspicious. We believe arson has been involved in all 3 instances.
And now police need your help to stop this suspicious activity.
The police are asking for the public's assistance in helping to locate suspects or any witnesses that may have seen or heard what had happened for all 3 of these arsons.
As for Blitz, her camper's been towed away, leaving a burnt tent and patch of dirt behind. She's still shaken up and hopes police catch the people who torched her RV.
If anyone knows anything, they ought to contact the RCMP. I'm sure they're anxious to catch that nutcase.
Lexi Dogan, Newcap News.
The Federal Finance Minister tabled his budget in the House of Commons yesterday. The document was substantially the same as the one that triggered the election. But now, backed by a majority, the Conservative government plans to make good on their election promises. Stephen Harper campaigned on a platform that largely revolved around economic issues, and his party believes that focus won them the election.
We've listened to Canadians during the past campaign. They told us we were on the right track with the budget that we had tabled on March 22nd. We've added a couple of other things to that. First and foremost, we'll be able to balance the deficit budget 1 year early. Closer to home, Alberta's finance minister believes that the federal Conservatives are enacting a plan to directly address that deficit.
They're going to do what's right, and they'll be cautious but firm, and collectively I have a great faith that they will manage to get into a surplus just exactly the same as I know Alberta will, and we may even be sooner than we projected.
Ritz is convinced that the steps they will take will not only be good for the country, but also be precisely what people want: reduction of government and support for only successful programs.
We want to make sure we keep taxes low. We're working on our regulatory and red tape regimes, and we'll continue to do that. We've got targeted investments, hiring credit for small businesses. We've got the eco retrofit, which was very popular. Snellgrove concurs and says that the federal plan is very similar to the Alberta plan.
We believe the flexibility we've built into a budget is the same flexibility that the feds have, plus with a commitment to just not spend on programs that we don't need anymore. So I think as Albertans we should feel a little flattered that they're actually following along exactly what we've done.
One major change involves the per-vote subsidy, where each party receives federal money for future campaigns based on the number of votes received last time around. This wouldn't have been remotely possible to enact with a minority, but now it's a certainty, even though the Conservatives garnered the highest vote count last month.
We stand to lose the most from taxpayers, but we think it's only fair that parties raise their money based on their political affiliations and people standing behind that.
The feds also plan to continue their economic action plan, funding stimulus projects to create jobs and complete infrastructure projects. A routine checkup has accused Prairie North Health of not giving out medical privileges to their doctors properly. The Saskatchewan provincial auditor came to the region to look at their physician files and couldn't confirm that all of their doctors and surgeons were licensed. But as Whitney Stinson reports, PNHR is protesting the claim.
The auditor came looking for documents but couldn't find them. Things like copies of current medical licenses and criminal record checks for the physicians and surgeons seemed nowhere to be found.
It raised the question in their minds as to whether we were performing the function of credentialing and privileging our doctors appropriately.
Dr. Murray says they did do the checks and it's just a paper problem, one they have to correct fast.
We went back and reviewed, and we confirmed through a third party that all of our doctors were properly licensed to practice.
The auditor made 7 recommendations through the documentation process, and Dr. Murray says they're taking every one seriously. They've hired an external consultant to help work through the paper trails and put the right one in place.
Looking at our own experiences in terms of how we can make the process much more seamless and complete, and to a public scrutiny, trustworthy.
Part of the problem might be the recruitment and retention issue. The board has been working hard to try to get doctors to come to the region, and that might be influencing their record keeping.
We're finding that almost 20% of our rural docs turn over in any given year, and so that creates a lot of work for us in terms of trying to bring new ones in and then trying to do the privileging and credentialing as well.
He says hospital visitors shouldn't be worried. He's confident in the physicians and surgeons employed by the region.
The proper checks have been put in place for the doctors that they will be seeing in their offices and in the hospitals.
Whitney Stinson, Newcap News.
A group of international visitors have a better taste of what Canadian community schools are like after touring Lakeland College in the border city yesterday. The purpose of the visit was for delegates to learn from Canada how to improve their programs so their graduates can find jobs right away. The 26 people on tour from as far as Tanzania and the Caribbean community learned about the history and academics of Lakeland, and most importantly, about the trades and technology program.
They're here because of the inception of a new 5-year, $20 million project for the Caribbean region in technical and vocational education.
In many of these developing countries, knowledge-based learning is the main focus, but the curriculum is weakened without the hands-on aspect.
When these guys go out in the field, like to employers, with training that's not hands-on based, they have a lot of difficulty being able to cope with the requirements of the job market.
Designed by the Association of Canadian Community Colleges, these programs aim to better align the gap between education and training and the needs of employers and the self-employed.
Regionally, we are going to increase the capacity of technical institutes to train and certify workers, young workers, all across the CARICOM region.
Lakeland College is looking forward to extending their relationship with the ACCC and with many other countries in the future.